Before OnePlus asked us to embrace the notch, it was content with having us never settle. But with its latest, the OnePlus 6, sporting a veritable checklist of modern-day smartphone stereotypes, from a gesture-based UI to the aforementioned notch, is there more to it than derivative looks? We put the OnePlus 6 through its paces in some of the hottest games such as PUBG Mobile and Arena of Valor to find out. Much like the OnePlus 5 and 5T before it, it comes with 8GB of RAM. It's also one of the first Snapdragon 845 powered devices in the country with an Adreno 630 GPU. For the purpose of this video, we checked out the 8GB RAM version with 128GB of storage. The OnePlus 6 has a few gaming specific features up its sleeve. The Gaming Do Not Disturb mode is now simply called Gaming Mode, similar to what we've seen on the likes of the OnePlus 5 and 5T thanks to recent software updates. All the new features that we've seen the updates add to the previous generation are available on the OnePlus 6 Gaming Mode as well. So you get the option to block notifications while you're gaming, automatically route incoming calls to the speaker, or lock the brightness level during your gaming session. These settings can be applied to apps that you classify as games via the settings. The Gaming Battery Saver mode is still available as well, and we'll see in a bit how that performs on the OnePlus 6. What's new with the OnePlus 6 is the ability to prioritize bandwidth available to your games to ensure your experience is as lag-free as possible. Known as Network Boost, this setting ensures that titles with online connectivity such as PUBG Mobile and Super Mario Run get priority access to the internet connection. As for the games themselves, we checked out a host of graphically demanding titles. Unlike Apple that's now demanding app developers to update their apps to ensure iPhone X notch support, Google hasn't made that mandate just yet. So every game we tested covered the screen except for areas on either side of the notch that were filled with black bars. You could go into the OnePlus 6 options and enable full screen viewing to have each and every inch of the game cover the screen, but during our testing that resulted in an experience that wasn't as immersive as it could be due to the notch coming in the way, though you could feel differently. We started off with Asphalt 8 and were treated to stellar environments and gorgeous weather effects, as well as detailed car models similar to what we experienced on the OnePlus 5. This time around, the Iceland and Tokyo levels were far from sluggish than they were on that phone. We didn't have to turn down any setting, and even while playing in the highest presets available, we got competent performance. This extended a Breakneck, a futuristic racer in the mold of the Wipeout series of PlayStation games. Not only does it look fantastic on the OnePlus 6, the performance held up even in the busiest segments with enemies and effects galore without dropping a beat. Moving on from racing games, we played the current Android hit PUBG Mobile. While the game defaulted to its medium setting, we bumped it up to high as the Ultra HD option isn't available just yet, and it looked great. From the grass, the weapon models, and even its vehicles, PUBG Mobile is fantastic on the OnePlus 6. It helps that the big screen lets us take in more of the surroundings without having to worry about the game's controls covering up areas we'd be looking at. The only issue is the minor screen elements present on the edges, such as the option to change seats in a vehicle, that appear to be cropped off. This was with both full screen viewing enabled and disabled. Finally, we tried out Arena of Valor, the mobile equivalent of Dota 2 or League of Legends, with an emphasis on quick responses. It's also one of the few smartphone games with a frame rate counter. With the highest preset that gives you detailed textures, particles in effect, and with high frame rate toggled on, which isn't available on every smartphone, just those with high enough specs, and pushes battery to the maximum in order for the smoothest level gameplay, we typically saw between 58 to 60 frames per second, dropping down to 56 frames per second in demanding situations with multiple enemies on screen. Needless to say, it's best played with high frame rate mode switched on, making for a superlative experience. Like we mentioned before, OnePlus 6's gaming mode comes with the option for Gaming Battery Saver mode. It has two options aside from toggling it off. These are low and high. Low limits the resolution while high limits resolution and frame rate. We decided to first play PUBG Mobile with Gaming Battery Saver mode set to high. While it didn't result in any settings in the game grayed out, with graphics options set to their highest, there was a perceptible drop in frame rate that made aiming tougher than it usually is, and looked closer to the game's lowest preset with jagged edges galore and trees popping in as you walk through sections of the map. As for battery life, we lost 5% of battery over 15 minutes of gameplay and around 10% over 30 minutes, which is a typical duration of a PUBG match. Switching it to low saw a slightly better looking game resembling its medium preset. Frame rate wasn't as bad either, with traversal and aiming working as they should. That being said, we lost the same amount of battery, 5% over 15 minutes and 10% over 30 minutes. And when we played PUBG Mobile with battery saver off, we lost the same amount, 5% in 15 minutes, 10% in 30. With much better frame rate and visuals, PUBG Mobile is best played with battery saver off, since there don't seem to be any battery savings to be had. We turned our attention to Arena of Valor, a game where we saw OnePlus 6's battery drain by around 6% in 15 minutes with its high frame rate mode on, and 4% with high frame rate mode off, all without invoking the smartphone's gaming battery saver mode. Interestingly, we saw the same numbers with gaming battery savers set to high as well as low, though the quality was noticeably worse. It's possible that gaming battery saver mode works better with other games, but in our experience it saved no battery life, though it does make the overall gaming experience worse. In terms of thermals, the OnePlus 6 got moderately warm during strenuous skirmishes in Arena of Valor, and ran surprisingly cool in everything else, even outdoors. The AMOLED display held up well in direct sunlight too, and despite just a single bottom-facing speaker, the sound was decent if you decide not to use its 3.5mm headphone jack, an increasing rarity among flagships. All in all, the OnePlus 6 is an excellent follow-up to last year's OnePlus 5 in terms of gaming performance, with improvements across the board thanks to its generous specs and excellent heat management. Regardless of your affinity for the notch and a gaming battery saver mode that isn't well optimized as it could be, this could be one of the better phones for gaming this year. Thanks for watching this video, and for all things gaming, check out Gadget360.com.